Hi, this is Alken, and welcome back to my channel. Well, I was looking into a little more detail about the California fires, and I found something very, very interesting. It seems there's a pattern going on here between Gavin Newsom and these fires. And I want to do a disclaimer that I have an investment in the electric company that was involved in one of these fires, but they were in bankruptcy after the incident. And my insurance company is State Farm, which is being villainized by a lot of people because they think they're at fault for what's happening in California. But when reality is, it's Gavin Newsom, because this is a pattern. He's continuing to do this over and over again. And let's get into this, shall we? Okay, so first thing first. Um, the problem with the fire hydrants, they're running dry. This is not a new problem. This has happened before. Sometime last year, they had another fire in the area, and again, the hydrants went dry. So the problem basically is that according to the research I did, some reason Gavin Newsom in California does not want to release the water that would have came down to LA that would have dealt with these fires, and Southern California would have had more water for the farms and stuff, because they're trying to protect a little bitty fish, not that long, whatever, some Smith fish. But so all that was going to the Pacific instead of going down to Southern California, and they're restricting water in LA and so on. Meanwhile, they're not clearing the brushes and stuff, and they used to have controlled burning in these areas to avoid these type of fires, but they stopped doing it because the environmentalists don't agree with this stuff. Well, I don't agree with them. So they're full of crap. And where is the connection? It seems that prior to these fires, since when Trump was the president the first time, Gavin Newsom's administration had sued Trump over and over and over and over again to the tune of $41 million. That's a great way to spend money, huh? And trying to avoid the regulations that would have allowed the water to go into Southern California. Now, I know people are villainizing State Farm, which is my insurance company, by the way, and I never had a problem with. But of course, because New Jersey is not California. Let's put it that way. They did pull out 4 months ago because apparently they weren't allowed to raise the rates. They were chased out because the governor wanted to put the state version of insurance for the California residents. So I guess he's trying to do a money grab. That's what I think it's going on here. So he didn't want California to raise the rates, but he was happy to take that money for themselves. So, to put into their budget, and of course, to deal with the illegal immigrants that we're very happy to pay for. I do want to point out, we don't know what caused the fire yet because they still hadn't determined that yet. Even though some people are speculating it could be arson, but, we don't know. So that's something for later investigation once this is all over. But the fact is, this happened before in 2018. The utility company in San Francisco, they said they weren't maintaining their infrastructure, and it was a spark from one of these overhead wires and whatever contraption it was that caused the campfire fire. They destroyed Paradise, California. And of course, the officials got in trouble. They would have to pay huge fines and so on. But it turns out, the year before, they were investing in fixing their infrastructure. But what happened was, and I found out now, between 2017 and 2018, before this fire, California was trying to put green energy and all this other um, green scams into operation and forcing companies like that utility company to switch from fixing their infrastructure to green projects. But because the money was sent to somewhere else, they couldn't fix their infrastructure, which the infrastructure should have been fixed first. So, some kind of a device from 1921 is what caught fire and led to the Paradise Fire that killed 85 people, if I'm not mistaken. So, this is a pattern with Gavin Newsom. He doesn't want to bring water where it's supposed to. He doesn't want to clear the brushes and maintain the forests. And he's trying to um, blackmail companies into doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. Of course, that will lead to financial problems. So, that company went bankrupt. Took a long time for them to reorganize. And they're back again after they pay all the fines and everything. They paying dividends again. Now, the state thing with the State Farm, they were canceling policies 4 months prior to the fire. Because of the high risk, they were going to raise rates, but Gavin Newsom didn't want them to raise the rates. I mean, yes, because, you don't want to do what's necessary to clean the forest, maintain the forest properly. You don't want to provide water. What is the insurance company supposed to do? You force them out because they can't afford the rates. It's like New York subway system. They want the infrastructure, but then they don't want to pay for the maintenance like they're supposed to. The reason why the subway is now part of the city and the state of New York is because for a lousy 2 cents, they could have maintained the system. It was a nickel fare, of course. They wanted to raise the fare to 2 cents. They wouldn't allow them to do it. That's why the product companies went bankrupt by 1942. But yet, guess what? Not long after 1942, the 5 cents fare lasted from 1904 all the way up to 1948. And then when they raised the fare, they raised it to a nickel. So the state got the 2 cents that the private company should have gotten, plus 3 cents on top of that. And then it raised it up to a dime until 1953, when the state took over the subway system and it became part of the New York City Transit Authority. And the first thing they did was raise the fare again to 15 cents. And then the politicians around that time wanted to fight to keep the 15 cents fare. And it led to the transit system collapsing at that time. So yes, this is not the first time we have the system collapsing. But because they didn't want the fare to go up, and they didn't want to pay for the maintenance, that's why the system's collapsing. That's why you don't have the system that you should have out there right now. The system would have been doubled than in its current condition. All you have is little extensions here and there. That's what's happening here. Because they didn't want State Farm to raise the rates, and they forced them out, and they put in their own insurance, so I don't know how that's going to work. Now they have to do all these claims because they have to pay. They gotta have to pay those claims. The state, whoever took that insurance. But the thing is, that was a money grab because they got to grab that money for themselves. Now, how are they gonna pay for all this damage? If a lot of people did do this, took that the state insurance. Now, there's some people who didn't. FEMA is going to have to bail them out somehow. And FEMA's always bailing out California with these huge fires. Now, of course, you still have the situation in the East Coast with the hurricane damage from Florida all the way up to North Carolina, and North Carolina is still suffering from the effects of that hurricane. I can't remember the name, and FEMA did a lousy job there. Are they going to do a lousy job here in California? Well, knowing running by Democrats, and they want to keep Gavin Newsom um, in good standing so he could run for president in 2028. What do you think? But the fact is this, Gavin Newsom has a pattern of doing this. This is not new. I mean, it's like my employer would say when it comes to my sick time. You have a pattern on your sick time. And I'm like thinking, what am I, Martha Stewart now? I mean, there's enough patterns here to make a dress. Okay. I go along with it because I don't have a choice. But the problem is, the people of California got to stop voting for these politicians. I mean, they did the right thing last year by putting in Proposition 36, firing that DA Gaston from Los Angeles. I hope the new DA will investigate this fire and maybe criminally charge Gavin Newsom for the 5 deaths. We only know it's 5 so far. We don't know it's going to be more. But there's a huge amount of damage, all for a little fish, and some brushes you don't want to clean up. This is a pattern over and over and over again, and it's got to stop. And if Gavin Newsom doesn't want to clean up his act, bring the water to Southern California, then he needs to be prosecuted for this. I mean, not just fired, but prosecuted. So that other California individuals will think twice before letting this happen again. Because if you let it slide this time, they're going to do it again and again and again and again. And my gosh, if they weren't prepared for this fire, what's going to happen when the big one hits? I mean, earthquake. I mean, I think San Francisco is more ready than Los Angeles was. And you see how Los Angeles got caught unprepared. Now, I know they were talking about the DEI stuff, and that's not something I want to concentrate on, because the one thing I do not agree with the current fire chief of Los Angeles is not the DEI, but the fact that she allowed the mayor of Los Angeles to cut their budget. I mean, there was a fire commissioner in San Francisco, and she was a female. And oh my gosh, she had great looking hair. She fought for that budget in the San Francisco Fire Department. When they asked if they should get rid of that fireboat, she said, no, we need it. That's the same fireboat that saved the Marina District from completely burning down from the Loma Problema earthquake from October 17, 1989. They had to use the fireboat to pump water into the fire with a system of little hydrants connected to hose, miles and miles and miles to get to the fire area. Without that water, more people would have died. And that's the problem. There was no water in the hydrants in LA, just like it happened in San Francisco. Their pipes broke. But in LA, the pipes didn't break. There was no water at all to fight the fire. There's barely any water. One person I saw in the video was trying to, or a photo was trying to try to protect his home by pouring almond milk around. They're desperate. You know, people had to try to save their homes, and I think some of them perished. This is a very bad fire. I mean, people were on videos seeing this from their airplane. How bad that fire was. The Pacific Palisades completely obliterated. Oh, and some people were celebrating James Woods' house burning to the ground. I guess they didn't know about Hunter Biden's house also burned to the ground. I know. Why am I not celebrating? Why? I mean, some of these comments I've seen about the fire, especially James Woods, it was horrible. One person said, "Oh, it's too bad that James Woods wasn't in the house and got burned to death." Yeah, if it had been Hunter Biden got burned to death, he wouldn't be saying that. He'd be so. So is State Farm to blame, or is it Gavin Newsom to blame for this fire? I think it's crystal clear that there's a pattern. Not with, I mean, is it State Farm? Yeah, not with State Farm, but Gavin Newsom. This is not his first rodeo. This is not his first fire. He has continued to allow this over and over again. I think it is time to pull the plug on this and send Gavin Newsom packing to the nearest jail. I hope the district attorney is watching this and will consider my suggestion about sending Gavin Newsom to prison because I think that's where he needs to be. He could, his roommate could be that fish. Anyway, this is Alcan saying so long for now, and don't forget your stop. And don't be like Gary Newsom. Always forgets his.